Hey, what is up? This is Right Now, the section of yoursquib.com where I tell you or show you what's going on right now, like stuff in progress, whatever I'm involved in at the moment. So, first of all, welcome to the site. This is the first Right Now. And I'm going to show you some paintings that are just about finished, a couple others that are not as close to being finished, but are still pretty well progressed. And I'm going to start with this one here. Give you a look at this. Instead of a photograph, you know, and some text, I figure I'd give you a live video here. Not live, but a video. And you can see, if you know anything about my work, this is the theme, the main theme of the head, and what it represents. It's basically, it's a multiple meaning or a double meaning. It's the individual, and it's also the ultimate reality, which is what you are is. Ultimate reality. That's what's really real. Everything we experience is just a manifestation of that. And that includes art and graffiti. And that's where I work to use art, painting, graffiti, to point to the ultimate reality. And that's my subject. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I want my work to be about. It's not about worldly things. Of course, you can't escape worldly things if you're making a worldly object, such as a painting with, you know, things like paint. So you can't escape it, but the goal of my art is always to point to the ultimate reality, to point to the truth, to what is really real. And I do it with graffiti, so that's a little different in abstract painting. So this is the first one. You see the head is in water. And water is always a theme for my work, because water, the metaphor is, you're not a wave, you are not a ripple, you are not you're not mist, you are not a foam, you're just water. Waves come and go by the billion. Bubbles, foam, all that stuff, it comes and goes. But water is the reality of those things. So it's a metaphor for consciousness being the constant, and life, death, birth, everything comes and goes and is not eternal, is not self-luminous, and is not unchanging. That is consciousness has those qualities, which are really not qualities. But anyway, here it is. This is called Submerged. No, Immersed, excuse me. This one is Immersed. So that's the first one. Okay, and the next one, which is the mate to this, they're not the same size or even the same orientation. This one is called Wolf, and that's a much more worldly kind of title, because it's based on, tried to zoom in, but it's based on, or the name comes from a circumstance, a situation that happened in my life, where I found this stretcher frame, which had a painting on it, and it was of a wolf. This is like this mountain going up here, and there was like a wolf here, and it had red eyes, and it was steamy, and it was like an airbrush painting. It was, you know, I don't know, but somebody was throwing it away. And this stretcher frame is very nice. So I saw that, I saw gold, man. You know, gold, another metaphor. But anyway, we'll get to that later. But anyway, this one's not finished either, but it's very, very close. You can see I got some little marks here because the way I painted this is very free, and the paint kind of builds up and you get texture, and some of the texture interferes with finishing the painting, so I got to scrape it off. Anyway, once again, the head is still prominent, and same theme. We're the head is the symbol, my symbol of the ultimate reality. Of course, the ultimate symbol of the ultimate reality is Om, the Om symbol. But obviously, and I incorporate that in the work. You're going to see it, but this is mine. I created this, and it represents me as a person, as the jiva, as the individual sentient being who is in samsara, who is still ignorant of his or her own true nature, but trying to realize our true nature. That's what the head represents, and now the head usually has a dome, but here it's diffuse, and it goes off into more visions of the ultimate reality, because the ultimate reality has no qualities, has no form. It's spaceless, timeless. You know, it's beyond. It cannot be conceived of by the mind. So I have to represent that or point to it. So I have to be creative in that way. That's why artists are artists, because they create and they interpret. So this is an interpretation of what the ultimate reality might look like if it had a visual form. And the jiva, the head, is a symbol. So there's a lot of that going on. Everything I do points to that. Everything. It's always the same subject in my work, done in different ways. And I can pull different art references. Obviously, it's always graffiti, but this is the second one. This one's called Wolf. You see there's earth, and then the jiva, the head, and then there's the tree. That was like part of the original wolf painting. And then it diffuses off into the air, into nothingness, or into everything, into the ultimate reality, manifestation of the ultimate reality, whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm working with. All right, let's get on. I got two more to show you real quickly. These ones are a little less developed, and they're pretty hardcore. Graffiti influence. I think they're looking pretty good. They're not as built up as the first two that I showed. The first two were very heavily brush work. They were very, very heavy on the brush work. This one is relying more on stencils. I use stencils and spray paint, and then I come into that with brushwork. And you can see here the head, once again, is, you know, this is the positive, I guess you would say, and this is the negative. Here we have the Om symbol, so that is very important to me. It's a wonderful symbol. It doesn't need to be altered. There's me, my actual face. So that's a little goofy kind of thing. I never tried that before, so I threw that in there. Stencil. Obviously, I come in with the brushwork, but the first layer was a stencil. And, you know, there's a lot of dripping in this. 907, of course, represent. You are. That's my crew. Ultimate reality. That's it. That's all you really need to know. That's all there really is to me. Down here, we got a little lettering. There's another Om symbol. It says Tatsvamasi, which means that thou art. You are the ultimate reality. That's a K2. Anyway, this one, so it's dangerous, or it's slippery slope writing on canvases. Writing something like such as a Mahavakya. If you know what a Mahavakya is, it's a grand statement, or I think that's what how it translates. It's, you know, Tatsvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. It's basically, you are Brahman. And there's a couple others, each one from a different Upanishad from each Veda. Anyway, that's all talk and nice to know. It's very important to me. It is what this is all. It's come to be. I didn't understand this Vedanta stuff until I started messing with it about 2 years ago. And it was basically what I always felt, but was unaware of in a articulated way. So this one's coming along pretty well. The dripping, the heavy dripping is, I don't really need to do too much more here. But I was saying about with the lettering, it's a tricky thing to put lettering or a sentence or a phrase into a painting, because you really better know what you're doing, otherwise it's going to seem really stupid. But the thing with me is I can put it in there and then embellish it, decorate it, whatever, bring it, make it visually appealing with different colors. So it's not just what is said, it's the lettering itself. And yes, graffiti writers be like, oh, that's whack or whatever, look how sloppy it is. And I'd be like, yeah, but that's what fits right here. It says Aham Brahmasmi down here. It's a little harder to read that, but that's what it says. And that's it. That's all I can say. That's all I have to say. One more in this right now section. Right now. That's kind of how I felt it. I don't know if there was some ESPN segment or something called Right Now, but that's what I'm doing here. And here's another one. And I'm not even, this one is not as developed as the other one, but it's got heavy drips, as you can see. And what I have here, I have some Joni heads here. There's 3 of them, but they're turned this way. And there's another one up here. So I'm really not sure which way this painting goes yet. And I started out the other yellow painting the same way, with like these one-liner faces that I have done since, like, I don't know, I started making those when I was in art school, I guess, in the 90s. And I used to tag them up in the city. I think one of them showed up in a Madonna video or something. And I got the Joni heads, the heads right here, 3 of them. And that's one way of looking at it. And this one-liner is a negative one-liner. Or is it positive? I don't know. Anyway, no, that's the negative one. And so here it is. Again, not as obvious, some stuff. You are for ultimate reality. I don't see any Om symbols in here. Oh yes, there's one right here. But this is what I'm up to. I have a lot more to show, but I can't make this video any longer. It's already going on 15 minutes. So thank you. And check out what's going on here. I got more stuff to come. Hopefully going to be in a show out in Rockaway this August. Not written, etched in stone yet, but I think I'm going to be in it. So I'll give you the details on that. Go out to the beach in August and check out some cool art. All right. Thank you.